getting started on time. So I want to say welcome to everyone. This is the first night that we are doing a class based upon, and this is the author's copy, so mine's got funny writing on it, but based on my book, Be Your Own Emotional Alchemist. And I am so excited that other people are joining in. It doesn't matter if you've read the book, if you purchased the book or not. The idea behind this is that I want to continue to support people as we're going through a major shift here on our planet. And hold on, I think Achilles, you're admitting people. Yeah. Okay, very good. I'll let that go. Maybe I should close that because I'm getting distracted. I will just leave that alone. Okay. So I'm happy you're all here. We're going to get started this evening. And the first thing we're going to do is get ourselves kind of grounded and cleared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spray the elevated spray that I do have for sale on my website. I've been selling this for quite a while. It's got a lot of beautiful oils in it that kind of help you elevate your emotional set point. So, and then we have got a special treat to get us started this morning, how about this evening? We have beautiful CJ, who I am going to unmute. She's waving her hand. Can you unmute her for me? Her name is CJ Achilles. CJ, can you hear me? Okay, we just got to get her vocals up. Can you unmute yet, CJ? There you go.
I believe I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yay! So CJ has is going to help us this evening.
This evening, I think we should change the exercise I'm going to do, and I'm going to do a special one just for you to help you, right? With clarity of presentation.
Snapdragons, yeah. Okay, so she's going to do a few of her Eden method energy points for all of us to kind of, we've all been busy, I'm sure, throughout the day. We're going to clear some energy, we're going to open ourselves up, and then we're going to get started. So it's all you, CJ.
Great. So thank you very much, Michelle. I am so excited to be able to do this. As she said, my name is CJ Keys. My business is Keys to Connect. I am a certified Eden Method practitioner, a Reiki master, as well as a certified foot reflexologist. And what we're going to do is we're going to take about 2 to 3 minutes. I might actually sneak an extra exercise in for Michelle to help her just focus a bit. But we're just going to get grounded and get really present. I'm sure we've all been running through the day, working at different jobs, but let's all come here and get our energies flowing. So I am going to ask you to participate. You certainly don't have to. We're going to do a couple exercises and you're just going to follow after me. The first one is just called a cross shoulder pull. And all we're doing here is very slowly reaching up over our shoulder and dragging our hand down to our waist. And what you're doing here is you're helping your energies cross over. You can do this as slow or as fast as you'd like. There's no rules here. And our energy is meant to move in figure 8 patterns, not go straight down like the railroad tracks. So this really helps just get us grounded and get our energies moving. So that's one exercise. The second exercise I'm going to do is called the 4 thumps. And again, really helps with grounding. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to thump your cheekbones right here. You're just going to tap. Breathe in slowly through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, why we do that is the stomach, that's the first point on the stomach meridian, and that pulses the energy down to our toes, which is the last point, bringing down the yang energy from Father Sky, the universe, the heavens, however you refer to that energy, and it just brings that energy down and helps keep us grounded. So that's the first point. We're going to go to a second thump, which is right here below your clavicle. So you got the pointy little dent, drop down an inch, out an inch, and tap. That's the last point on your kidney meridian. This is great to tap if you're tired. Traditional Chinese medicine would talk about the kidney meridian being the master meridian, and it just really helps keep your energy flowing and humming. And it also, the first point on your kidney meridian is at the bottom of your foot. So again, it's grounding, but it's bringing the energy up from the yin, from Mother Earth. Third point is thymus, right here in the center of your chest, kind of like Tarzan if you want. Stimulates the T cells, keeps us healthy. And the fourth point we're going to tap as part of the four thumbs is right here in your, if you're a woman, the bra line, Achilles, it would just be like right under your arms, kind of like an orangutan, like a chimpanzee. And this is great to metabolize those emotions Michelle is going to talk about in a little bit, and also helps us metabolize food and energy, works with the pancreas, helps stabilize blood sugar. So I told Michelle this is kind of like a trifecta of goodies, but it's really a fourfecta. I don't know what that word is. Maybe you have one.
I don't.
But that is our fourth exercise. That should get everybody here and present. One slow breath through your nose, out through your mouth. Actually, let's do that one more time. And Michelle, I am so excited to hear what we're going to learn about tonight. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, CJ. And CJ will go ahead and put her information in the chat for anybody who is interested. She does free morning classes right now on Facebook. So make sure to hop onto that. It does, I can't tell you how much it's been helping me the last couple of weeks. So that's awesome. Okay, I'm feeling definitely more balanced and centered. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So for the first part of this, what we're going to do is we're going to all close our eyes and we're going to do a little bit more of getting centered and understanding more of our emotions and getting in tune with where we're at right now. So go ahead and close your eyes. And if you can, get your feet flat on the floor. Don't have your legs crossed. And just for a moment, I just want you to take a nice, slow, deep breath in. Kind of just continuing what CJ was doing and just sending out on the exhale any energy that is not yours. And on your inhalation through your nose, I want you to bring back any energy that you've left around in meetings and conversations, calling back your energy. Zoom situations. And then your exhale, you again are releasing and letting go of anyone else's energy that is not yours. Do this 3 times. It's one of the best practices for anybody who's empathic like I am, anybody who feels energy. You might feel the release as you're exhaling, and that's beautiful and perfect. And then breathing back in. And I now want you just to stay centered with your eyes closed, owning where you are now, where you're sitting at. Notice it, notice the noises in the room and my voice. And feel whatever emotion might be popping up right now. Maybe you're feeling a sense of relief, or maybe a few tears coming out. Maybe today was pretty high pressured. I just want you to be with the emotion. And I don't want you to feel as if it is going to become a part of you. I just want you to breathe and not interact with it, just be with it. And now I want you to go ahead and in that playful mind of yours, just allow yourself to think of a time that gives you great love and expansion, a great memory, or maybe a future plan. But the best one for most people is to think about the best vacation spot you've ever been to. In that moment where you looked out and you felt so amazing. Maybe for you, it's the first time you held your fur babies or held an infant, or the first time you fell in love. I just want you to be in that energy and let a smile come upon your face. That's when I know you've hit it. That's when I know you're in that love bubble of that divine space for yourself. And we're going to allow ourselves to anchor that peaceful, loving energy that's around you. And with each breath and each moment, you're going to continue to allow that memory to grow in color and feelings. And as a collective group of these beautiful human beings who are here with us tonight, we're going to allow that the intention of tonight's work that we're all gathered to do will honor everyone's individual growth for the good of all humanity. And tonight we're seeking to be more of the solution in our lives. And as you're holding this beautiful, loving, energetic feeling together, just know that we are creating a new portal. We are connecting to the portal of love, which other people can eventually tap into themselves with. And we're going to allow that intention to settle into your trillions of cells. And you can feel that energy pulsating throughout your body right now. And then for the last moment, just allow yourself to focus in on your third eye center, which is located in your pineal gland. And in the middle of your brain sits a beautiful small crystalline quartz. See that in your mind and see it as it's being activated. Open up to the energy of understanding of the heroes and the heroines' journey tonight. And with that we say, and so it is. So you can go ahead and open up your eyes. And we're gonna get started. I definitely am feeling more balanced and grounded. So today, what we're working on is actually working on the heroes and the female version, which would be I always want to say heroine, and it's not heroine. It's the heroine journey, because I think it's really important for all of us to understand that there are differences between the male and the female aspect of all of that. And the one thing that I want us all, and it doesn't matter if you're male or female, you have those components within you. And when we're dealing with emotions, of course, we're tapping more into our feminine energies. And what I want to share with you tonight is that we're understanding that emotions are fluid and emotions are nothing to be afraid of. It is a part of us, and it is it is the most powerful tool that we come into when we're born. It's free. And for a lot of us, when we're younger, we're very, very intuitive. A lot of us may have had gifts at early ages that we knew about. For me, I was just sensitive, and that's what I was called. But emotions were everything for me. But I had to learn how to cocoon myself. And now what we're learning to do is we got to pop that all back open. So we're going on a journey. And we're going to dive into an area which I think everyone really felt a lot, which was, this is the category we're going to talk about tonight. If you can't read it, that's okay. I'm going to tell you. We're going to tap into tonight with about being discouraged, being pessimistic, negative, and discouraged, because 2020 kind of, like you'd have to be living under a rock if you didn't have those moments in which you felt really discouraged about what was going on. Now, we just spent time elevating ourselves into a really, really good, peaceful, loving space, right? And I did that on purpose because we have to anchor that in before we tackle a conversation with someone. And maybe it might be at this point, in just a little bit, I may ask somebody if there's something that they want to work through live. And I know that's a lot to ask. And if nobody does, that's okay. Trust me, I've got plenty of examples. But that's the energy we're going to dive into. And every month that we get together to do these things, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. If there's a situation going on, if there's a global thing going on, or if you just want to learn new tools, if we want to focus it in on health, wealth, whatever it is, because with emotions, it's in everything. So we're going to utilize these tools. Oh, thank you, Achilles. Yeah, we're going to utilize these tools in the best way that we can in this type of setting. So the next thing I want to offer up real quick before I forget, I have a free gift. One of the gifts was CJ coming on and doing that for us, which was grateful. I'm very grateful for it. But the second thing is that I have a free gift that I'll email to everyone tomorrow. And I'll tell you a little bit about it more. But if you really want the free gift, and it's a gift that's going to help you. It's an anchoring gift that's going to help you with your emotions as you move on from now until next month when we meet again. All you have to do is go on and just message Achilles. He's the IT guy in the Zoom, and leave him a personal message and giving him your email. Now, understand that I will not sell or share your email with anyone. This literally is just my gift from my heart to yours. And then I want to hear from people when they get it to see what they think. Okay. Yay. Okay, so go ahead and do that if you're interested. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about. These four words, if you have the book, you're going to want to pop open your book to page 46. How exciting that I can say that. I just go to page 46 in the book. And the idea of being discouraged or feeling negative, pessimistic, or disappointment. Again, these categories I created by the energy field that I witnessed and saw through it. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and I'm going to show you something. Let's see, because for some people who may not have the book, that's okay. I've got the pages for you. Let's see. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see that. So we're actually working down in the fifth category right here. Oh no, the seventh category. So the first thing I want people to notice is that when we are in that discouraged, negative, pessimistic disappointment, understand where the energy is going. Energy is key. That's what emotions are, their energy. Everything is energy. We know that already. However, when you can start to visualize what the energy looks like that you're experiencing in the moment, right? It helps you to pop out of the ego-driven moment that you are in. Any of the emotions that you are experiencing that are below anything from the neutral on down, these are just ways in which you're creating an illusion for yourself. And the illusion is that something is against you. Something isn't working for you. Something isn't working out. Now, I already can hear people saying, oh, but, and yep, we're going to get to those oh, buts, but I just want you to stay with me a little bit longer on this because I'm going to give you a visual. So I want you to imagine that the emotions that we're talking about today, they are forming a fog around you, like a misty grayish fog. And when you think of a moment that feels out of control, which a lot of 2020 did for us, I want you to sense and feel, and some of you may want to close your eyes if you want to. Again, you don't have to. You're going to now start feeling this fog start to form around you. And this fog actually represents the illusion. The illusion is a game or an understanding that you came here to master. We came to the planet to master something called Earth and all of the circumstances that come with it. So when we peek our head through the fog, we begin to see that we have actually created the fog for ourselves, which is part of the illusion. And that's really kind of a great way, I think, to think about when you're in that. So your story tonight is whenever you felt disappointed today, or maybe you felt negative, that this fog covers the next logical step that you should be taking. In the book, we talk a lot about the higher soul self and this idea that in order to allow the intuition, that pineal gland, to give you what the next step is, you can't have that much fog in your way. Because when you have the fog means you're believing in the illusion of the fog. And when you believe in the illusion, it's difficult for the intuition to give you something that you will believe. Does that make sense? So it's almost as if you can't see what's coming yet. So it's almost like, but Michelle, this is the reality that I'm living in this very second. This is what I see. But understand that what you're seeing right now was created from your moments prior to your moment just before that, or the day before that, or what the newscasters told you the day before that, right? You're living in that reality that you created. So there's this illusion of this fog that's all around you. Mm-hmm. And the fog gets thicker and it begins to accumulate. But when you stop and you take a really slow, deep breath, and do that now if you can. And as you exhale, a small pathway begins to appear, and the fog begins to melt away with each breath. And as a light worker, because you are all light workers if you're here tonight, you're someone who seeks to understand more about your spiritual world, and you understand that with each breath, it strengthens the beacon of light that resides in you. And you become a vibrant white light of energy, of hope and possibility. And it's emanating from you because with each deep breath, you are remembering who you are. You're empowered in that moment. You're tapped in that moment. You're able to use your intuition in that moment. And you're able to hear beyond what is in your current reality, right? You're able to hear and see what's beyond your current reality. You did that. You created the illusion of the fog, and now you created the solution. And that is just one step of the hero or the heroine's journey. So let's talk about that a little further now. It's the idea that, okay, Michelle, I'm there. I feel a little relief in this moment. And then your phone rings and you pick it up. And someone says, how's your day going? Oh my God, you wouldn't believe my day. It's gone terrible. It's been an awful day. So what has happened? The fog has just come right back in, and the connection is dampened. It's never lost, it's dampened. And so this is what happens to all of us, including myself, all day, every day. And so how is it that you would clear that up again? By you taking a deep breath. It's the simplest tool. And it always amuses me when people say, Michelle, if you tell me to take a deep breath, I'm just going to tell you it doesn't work. And I'm going to say, well, I imagine that you probably took a very shallow breath then. Because if you take long, deep, appropriate breaths, you can't help but to come back into alignment with who you truly are, which is, this is who you truly are. You truly are the person who's connected to everything. You have your higher soul self that is connected to the divine, to God, to whatever you call it, to spirit, to universe. And you always have this connection. But when we keep laboring in the things that we don't want, and the only reason I bring this in, it's never about shaming ourselves, ever, 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 ever. We never shame ourselves because it's an emotion and you have to feel things in order to heal it. You'll hear me say that constantly. You've got to feel things to heal it, right? And so tonight I want you to really honor these amazing possibilities that you have for yourself in using tools on a moment-to-moment basis throughout your day. So, so becoming somebody who is considering themselves an alchemist, an emotional alchemist, is somebody who is you're not afraid to feel your feelings, okay? And although some of them feel at times can feel overwhelming, you've got to remember that the emotions that you're experiencing are indicators of something. It is one way that your intuition is always working, that you know that you're always connected to the divine is when you have an emotional reaction to something. Did you know that? And if you did, good. And if you didn't, I'm seeing some people shake their head. Your emotions are your first link to your intuition. And it's amazing to me because we are never taught what the energies are doing, how to flip out of them. And it's so interesting, even as children, we're taught, a lot of men were taught, you don't cry. Little girls, like you've got to do things a certain way. You've got to hold it together or you're too emotional. And what I'm here to say is, as a collective whole, because my goal, obviously, if you have looked at the book, my goal is to open up the consciousness on the planet. That's why I wrote the book. And we have to start with what we have. This is free. People, what I'm teaching you is free to you. It's free to anyone. But it takes focus. And it takes understanding what the heck am I supposed to do, Michelle, when I'm feeling disappointment in the moment, right? I understand that. Today I bounced out of a lot of emotions myself, and I'm still, I did a lot of deep breathing, and I did a lot of practices actually today. Today was one of my emotional days. And I used to hide that. And I used to say, oh, I shouldn't be so emotional. I shouldn't exhibit it. And what I'm saying is it's time to rip the band-aid off and let people show their emotions. Now, here's what we don't need to do, because this is what we've been conditioned to do. We don't need to hold the emotion as a badge of armor. Um, we all experience everything. We all have our own journey. It's what you're going to imprint for yourself now is understanding that you are the alchemist. If you're coming to a class like this, understand you are an alchemist. You've learned how to flip out of things when they've gotten big enough. And what I'm offering is for you to be able to flip out of an emotion that you felt, because we never want to deny it. But in order for you to flip out of something, you have to know that you're feeling something, right? So tonight we're going to talk about how it is that when you have experienced it during the day, disappointment or not knowing, how is it that you can hold on to this idea, like in the energy that I showed you, that the reason that you're disappointed in is because the energy is going in a totally different direction than what you had anticipated, correct? Right. So that's all, and that's important to know, because when you're experiencing it now, all I have to do is stop myself and say, okay, you're feeling disappointment, which just means the energy that you put into something is going in a different direction, and you don't feel like you have control. But I do have control, and the only control we all have is how I respond to my outside world internally. And the reason I get so excited and passionate about this is because I have seen people's lives change so dramatically when they start to really tune in, including my own, when people really start to tune into these daily moments. So I'm not talking about if a family member has just crossed over and you're grieving. I'm not talking about that. That is a situation in which you would call somebody to have some assistance on. Let's make sure. I don't even have grief in my categories. I'm talking about those moments that you have throughout your day, because you have over 86,000 moments in a day. And I can guarantee you, I could probably ask quite a few of you, how many of those moments do you actually know what you're feeling? You normally just flip through and go to the next thing. You don't ever pause and ask yourself, geez, how am I feeling right now? It would be like you looking in the mirror at yourself. I talk about emotional check-ins in this book. They're powerful tools. And the emotional check-ins is like, you know how like when you see your best friend throughout the day, or you see a coworker and they say, hey, how's it going today? And you pause and you say, oh, I'm fine. And they know, oh, that's kind of the BS monitor going off. She's not fine. Okay, we're just going to go along with it. But doing an emotional check-in is actually you looking at yourself and saying, hey, Michelle, how are you today? How are you in this moment? Because we have more than one emotion that we feel in a day. So here's one thing that you can start to practice for yourself. It's not in the book. I'm always going to try to give you new, fresh things when you come onto this class, and this is one of them. So let's say you have an opportunity and you are asking yourself, wow, how do I feel in this moment? Not feeling the best in this moment. And instead of when the next person asks you, hey, how you feel? How are you feeling, CJ? And CJ says, thanks for helping me check in with myself. That's all you have to say. Do you realize with you saying, I got to check in with myself for a minute, you have just freed up yourself and that person from that BS conversation that you're about to have? Because most people do have it. Like, let's be honest, right? Let me check in with myself. I don't know. I was so busy in thought going through what someone just said to me. And actually, you know what? I'm a little irritated with that person. Let me get myself rebalanced right now, because you're going to carry that into the next thing that you're doing in your world. You're going to carry that disappointment into the meeting with you. And so what happens in that? Well, let's make up the scenario that I'm sure most of you can understand, is that you'll be in the meeting and somebody will bring up a fresh idea, but you're still stuck in that lower frequency of disappointment, and you'll probably shoot that person down with your idea and say, oh no, that won't work. Anybody been in a meeting that's happened and you're like, what? That was a great idea. So hold on. So that is another reason why, is because when you can say that to yourself, well, let me check in with myself, it frees you up and it frees that other person up. And they may look at you like, what? Check in with yourself. What's that mean? And you can either be an alchemist and say, oh, that's okay, I don't need to explain. Or you can sit and explain and say, I'm really starting to be more tuned into what I am feeling because I don't want to carry it over. Because emotions are like a dial. It's like a wheel, like a steering wheel, like, how you're driving and then someone cuts you off and all of a sudden you're in anger. And then all of a sudden you have a hawk. For me, that would be thrilling. A hawk flies by and I'm like, oh, a hawk. And all of a sudden, and I can just feel it when I said that. Like bliss, like totally hits me, right? And I'm all excited. That's what I mean by that. You're having many, 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 many emotions throughout the day. So try that tool. Try that next time that you're feeling the disappointment or any of the emotions, actually. But tonight we're going to try to dive into some of the things that happened in 2020. Okay. So with that, I want to kind of open it up. You can raise your hand. And how do you tell people to do that, Achilles? Raise your hand. You can put a question in. Oh, Stacy Metzer is asking me, do you do science of mind? I have done some of that. And I haven't even really introduced myself to anybody. Thank you, Stacy, for that question. My degree is in psychology and social work, and I was a social worker for many years. For those of you that don't know me, for those of you do, you've heard this story before. I'll make it quick. So I was in children's foster care for years, and what happened for me is that I started to really study human behavior, because what I was seeing is that some of the kids were in foster care, like family situations. I would see them like 10 years later, and I was kind of mind blown by which of the children ended up functioning very well in society and which ones didn't. And I wasn't really interested in the nature versus nurture. It never worked for me when I was a social worker. But what did work for me was how they perceived their world. And that was different. And so that spun me off on massive studies for probably the last 17 years. I have got more certifications, probably like a lot of people like you on this call. I've got a ton of certifications on different things. And I use that specifically because I need to come to you when I'm working one-on-one with clients. I need to come to you with what your beliefs are, not what mine are. So I had to really work through a lot of hardcore beliefs I had. At the beginning of this, I always thought, oh, I will never believe in reincarnation. And now I believe in reincarnation. But it doesn't mean you have to. I was raised as a Catholic. I'm no longer practicing religion. I'm practicing spirituality. But no means does that mean you have to do that, or that I can't honor and love you for what you're doing. And really, that is the biggest thing I think we all need to hear right now. I'm kind of going off on a rampage on this, but it's so important right now for all of us to kind of honor other people's belief systems. So to answer your question in a long roundabout way, I've studied some of the science of mind. I've studied NLP. I have studied emotional tapping. I have done holistic studies from foods to oils to you name it. And now I'm creating my own, The Emotional Alchemist. So that kind of gives you a roundabout, but thank you for that reminder. So anyways, I want to open it up to either a discussion or what I like to call having somebody kind of hop into the alchemy seat, which would mean that you may have a question or situation in which you feel like you're a little stuck on, but here's the but you're ready to kind of flip out of it. So we can kind of talk about it and work your way up and down it. Connie. Oh yeah, Connie, do you have a question?
No, I was just seeing how that worked. How
okay, good. Okay, very good. And I know that there are people I know that there are people who are on Facebook too, Achilles. Is anybody? And I'm just throwing this at you. So you know for next month that you can bring any situation and nothing is off topic, by the way. Unless it's something that's just vile. Like I'm not going to take anything that's vile and against people, but anything that you're going through, that you're experiencing, that you would like some support in, I definitely want to do it. And if not, then we're just going to hop into the book and talk about one of the processes, and then I'll share a few stories with people. Does that work? Everybody still awake? Okay. All right, good. Hold on. Let me just flip it and see if I see other people here. Okay, very good. Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead, and unless something changes and Achilles tells me something different, I'm going to go ahead into it. Okay, so if we're on page 46, which is where this is at, you're going to notice that I created portals for all of this. And I'm going to put that up here for you. Oops, I got to share the screen. Am I sharing the screen? I don't know. Here. Share the screen. Here we are. One of my favorite ones. Actually, Mr. Achilles made this for me. So this, I think, is a really amazing way for you to take a look at what you're feeling and experiencing. When we're feeling any of these lower vibrations, which would be anything from stagnant all the way over here to unworthiness, this is that question that we're always asking yourself. What am I feeling? And where do I want to be? What a great question, right? Sometimes we don't even ask ourselves good questions because we're in such a loophole of just allowing ourselves to be. And so it's like, so I want you to really notice these portals, because I really do believe that every emotion we have has its own portal within it. And this part thrills me to death because because when I am feeling any of the lower frequencies and I stop myself and I ask, what am I feeling and where do I want to be? It's giving me permission to go ahead and unhook from whatever I think has a hold of me, because that's what we think emotions do. We think that they're drowning us. And isn't it interesting? Because I can think of way before I understood about alchemy and emotions. I remember when I was depressed, really depressed, and I got myself on some anti-depression medication. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. And I remember thinking that it almost, I wanted to make it a part of my identity, right? I wanted it to be my excuse for if I didn't want to go somewhere because I was an empath, I would use that as my excuse. Not a pretty thing to say, but it was the truth. I'm like, hey, you know, I'm feeling kind of depressed now. I'm not going to go out. And the reason I say that is if I had known what I know now, which is what this graphic is showing us, and realizing that, gosh, in this second, I feel really depressed, but I know that I can do some things to pull myself out. Or in this moment, I'm feeling really discouraged because I just found out someone in my family has COVID. And I am, you know, I'm a little overwhelmed with feeling like, oh, everything that I had planned for the next 2 weeks, I now have to readjust. And when I caught myself in that, it's like, but where do I want to be? It's like, where do I want to be? It frees you in that instant. And that's all it takes for people to shift, to use your own alchemy, is by asking a question that's going to make you think differently. And more importantly, it puts you back in control of what you're experiencing. So when we're talking about the page on 46, I always give integrations in the pages. And I do that on purpose because integrations in this book are really ways in which you don't even have to do the process. Sometimes when you just read the integration, it will flip you out of it. And you'll be like, oh, yeah. I know what's going on here. And you know what? I am a manifestress. That's what a lot of people call me. And I know that if I really want to manifest what I want today, I know where I need to be. I need to be feeling a heck of a lot better than I do right now. And I need to let go of the control that I thought that I didn't have because the energy was going in one direction and I wanted to go another. And so in that moment, I'm making that conscious choice of like, you know what? I'm going to turn it around moment by moment and realize this is in my best interest, because I'm going to be able to do more of the crafts that I've been dying to do this in the next 2 weeks because I'm quarantining, right? I'm going to allow myself to, I'm going to allow myself to drink and eat more healthy foods because I'm going to have the time to do it. And all of a sudden, within just a few quick moments, I was back in alignment with myself. And I was in that blissful state. I was in that, let me say, I wasn't in bliss. I was in a happy, optimistic place, which is a great place to be. So the top two rears portals here that I'm circling are the ones in which things that you're desiring, things that you truly make you happy will just start to appear very quickly when you're back into alignment. And that's what those two portals are telling you. Okay, I went back off again. Okay, so let's go back to the discouraged, the negative, the pessimistic real quick. So the integration for this one says, take a moment to pause and recapture your first image of your desire with a new perspective. Think about that for a minute. Think about something that you've been discouraged with today. Could be something simple like, yeah, I went to get gas and the price went up. And in that moment, I felt a little discouraged. I know that's stretching it, but without, let me unshare this. I can see your beautiful faces. So think about something that, really threw you kind of in a thing. Is that in the book? Yes, it is in the book, CJ. It is on page 46 in the integration graph. That's a good question. So it's time to take a moment to pause and recapture the first image of your desire with your new perspective. Okay, good. Right. Awesome. Okay. And if that doesn't work and you're still in that point, then you've got those two processes. From yourself with bliss and ask the universe. Which one do you want me to dive into? There's always good, juicy stories that go with them that weren't in the book. Somebody type it up. Which one? What is that, group 7? No, group 6. Hello, Michelle, find it. Anybody say? Universe. Okay. I love that one. Once upon a time, are you ready? Here's my story on this. So once upon a time, I decided to take a break from doing this work and become a flight attendant. For the experience, you know, sometimes as you do what I do for a living, sometimes you need to get out there in the big world again and experience new things. And I had an opportunity to do that. And I remember one day I was flying down the road to make the flight because I was on call because I was a newbie. And I remember I was feeling a little discouraged. You know, I was still doing my business, but I was getting to the point where I wasn't really sure if I was going to stay with flying much longer. And I noticed that the traffic was getting a little thicker on the good old highway. So the disappointment started. I could feel it like, oh, okay, I gotta go. Got in the car, started driving, could feel the disappointment. I was playing with the disappointment by talking to myself about, oh, you know, do I really want to do this job anymore? And I was going down that slippery slope that's so easy to go down. And all of a sudden the traffic starts to get thicker. And I thought, and that woke me up. And I thought, I'm bringing this on to myself. I need to clear up my energy before I get on that flight first and foremost, because that safety is always my concern. And I know that I carry with me a lot of energy. So I want to make sure that I'm grounded and in the best place that I can be. So it was a beautiful, gentle wake up call. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do the universe one that I tell my clients on. And so I said, today, universe, I want to see really happy, smiling people. I really want to encounter a lot of happy people. And in that moment, I could feel it, because then it was reminding me of a couple other conversations I'd had with clients or passengers who were coming on the plane, and the laughs. I'm like, okay, I feel better. And then I said, and I also want to see evidence that that's time for me to go back to my business. So I gave 2 superlatives, I guess is what you'd call. I made 2 statements and 2 requests to the universe. So I decided to put on some music and get myself in a better flow. And the traffic kind of opened up and I got there in time. And it was so interesting because I pull up into the parking lot and and there's always somebody at the gate, and they're usually very, very cranky people. I don't blame them. It's just not a great job. And you know, the person stopped, smiled, and waved at me. And so I'm laughing, and I'm like, I looked around like, is there somebody walking by? Are they really waving? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I remember like, oh my gosh, evidence of somebody who's happy. Like, oh my gosh, that was a beautiful thing. And it woke me up again, right? It's like, okay, I'm feeling better. Let's go. Get on that bus. You get on that bus, that employee bus down in the Philadelphia airport is dismal. But the energy, if you're an empath, the energy in there is you really have to zip yourself up before you hop on it. Got on it. And I actually had a gentleman sit next to me and tell me the coolest story about how he was helping another coworker with school, like with college. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's an incredible story. To say the least, by the time I got to the plane, I was in such a good mood. And I recognized that in that moment, there was so much joy around me that I couldn't help but do it. And it was a great flight and everything went really well. Well, it doesn't end there. I got to my hotel by the end of the night, pull up my iPad and checking all my emails. And sure enough, there was a project I had kind of put on the back burner and I was kind of inkling to get it back up and running. And do you know that there was an email from someone confirming that this would be a good idea for me to do this, which was my second superlative to the universe saying, show me, what's the next step for me in my business? What should I be doing? So these are the simple, they're very simple. And I understand that, but it's the idea that you've got to use them. And when you use them and then you write them down in your journal at night. And if you're a person who says, I don't like to journal, I'm just telling you, the more that you write this, what happens is you're back in that portal of bliss, joy, and happiness, that beautiful portal, this beautiful portal. You're back in this automatically when you're rewriting the story, kind of like how I was suggesting. Oh, wait a minute, I just lost my train of thought. So when you have to take something to pen and paper and rewrite it, what's happening is you're bouncing back into that portal. And let's remember, as the collective whole, when you are dancing in the bliss or the joy or the happiness or the optimism or the peace, guess what? You're adding to that portal and that portal gets bigger. Because guess what portal is really huge right now? This one. Discouraged, pessimistic, fear, anxiety. Those portals are so big right now. And when you understand that what you're experiencing moment by moment by moment, you're adding to those portals. And especially as somebody who I know, if you're on here, who is a light worker, you may not call yourself that, but I certainly would call you that. You understand how empowering you are, that when you're spending more time in an energy that doesn't feel good, you're just fueling that fire. You're throwing it, you're taking the coal and you're throwing it into, you're not being your alchemist. You're not saying, okay, in this moment, this is where I'm at, but where do I want to be, right? So critical that we all begin to own that more. So instead of, because here's probably one of the biggest shifts I ever had in my life is when I stopped calling friends or family members when something bad happened. And what I mean bad is when I had a bad day or I had a situation that really made me mad. I was the queen of calling people and talking about and typing when social media, everybody has their ways of like regurgitating. And when I stopped being that for other people, by the way, that meant that I lost a few friends. When I stopped being the person that people would also call to regurgitate their negative crap, I lost a few people in that. They no longer call me, and some of them were my family members because I was that person for them. So understand that as you're growing and developing, you're going to want to start to establish, and you can establish this, by the way. I have a private face group page for Be Your Own Emotional Alchemist, and this is a great page to go to for you to share your joys, because when you share your joy, we all get to share in it. When you need help shifting out of it, people are going to throw things to you to help you flip out of it, because we no longer listen, we've been conditioned to complain and get aggravated. Now, is there always a time for action? Like if there's an injustice, of course, but I'm talking about your day-to-day emotions. If you start with just a few baby steps, with just a few, let's say you decide that you're going to set your, and it is up on the chat, the Facebook page. Thank you, Achilles. If you set a time, your timer on your phone, and you decide that just Monday through Friday, just from 11 to 12, I'm just going to set my alarm once or twice and have it go off, and I'm going to check myself. You're going to start a new pattern. We're going to start using new brain waves for ourselves and how we're dealing with the moment to moment stuff, because it does make an impact. For those of you that were on the interview that I was on the other night, you have to understand, I was not birthed this way. I was not birthed to be an emotional alchemist. I was birthed to complain. It was in my family genes. Whoever complained the loudest at the dinner table got the attention. It was nothing intentional my parents did. It just was. So I don't blame them. But when I graduated and found out that my superlative, that's the right use for that word, for my graduation was most likely to complain, holy cow, I had no idea I was doing it. So you need to sometimes gather yourself in a new circle, or slowly just one or two people that you know are going to lift you up and not let you play in the crap. Because guess what? You can play in the crap by just turning on the TV, turning on the news, or looking at social media. You can go there in a heartbeat with all of that. Here, we're generating the idea that, nope, we have the control, we have the power. How am I going to utilize it? And how often am I going to choose to utilize it? That's the other question. How often are you going to choose to utilize this? Okay. Whew, I feel like I've just been blah, 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 blah. So let me see. Are there any questions again right now? Any situation that you're feeling, anything that's spurred or that you want to have a little bit further discussion on? Because I'm going to take a drink of water real quick here. Okay. So someone asked, are there tips to help you choose the positive to share? Bragging is hard. Great question. Love this question. And you know who would ask this? A female, which it was a female that asked this. Men have no, and I shouldn't say not all men, but I would say that more than not, women have a really hard time sometimes of sharing the positive. And so what you're going to do is you're going to start to cultivate a new culture for yourself where it's going to be. And this is the thing that I start off with all my conversations with my family. I don't start off with what's wrong. Hey, what's going on? I start off with my own, like, hey, you're not going to believe what happened. That's how I start the conversation. And then everybody has, you in that moment are an alchemist because you're helping to shift everybody who's listening. So if it's a phone conversation or you're in a meeting, when someone starts, it's like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what happened. It's either going to be one way or the other. And I'm hoping that you're going to go the one way, that's a higher elevated conversation. And you start to plant these seeds about these little cool stories of yours. And that's another reason why it's great to write them all. So understanding that you're not, oh, Achilles says you can say all men. Well, I do want to be mindful that, I think there are some men that are very in tune with all that, but in general, it is difficult for women to brag. So guess what? When you say that to somebody and you say, you know what, guess what just happened? And you share their good story, more than not, you can then lead them into, so tell me something amazing that's going on in your life. And at first, I'm telling you, they're going to stumble. They're going to be like, what? What kind of question is that? Like, I can tell you everything that's wrong. I was like, well, no. Tell me something that's really good. Tell me something that you're excited about. Tell me about your win today. It's easy when you're in business, because I think a lot of business calls go like that these days. Like, tell me about a win. But how about your personal life? How about your dinner table when you're sitting with somebody? How about if you start the conversation this way? So what was good today? What was good today? And if they can't think of anything, then you think of all the juicy things that you did with the universe today and you throw it on the table for them. Even if they don't believe it or get it, the energy is there for them to tap into if they choose so. Because it's not in your business what other people are experiencing, because you're not them. What's your business is for you to feel good. So just start practicing it. In fact, I encourage everyone, if you decide to join, if you're on Facebook and if you decide to join that group, I so encourage people. I love it when people put things like bragging, if you want to call it bragging. I don't really call it bragging, but talking about something that feels really good. Because you know what you're doing? You're allowing me to jump in there with you, and I get to feel the feeling too. Jealousy comes when people think when somebody is succeeding that means it's taken away from them. That's never true. Somebody wins the lottery, it didn't take it away from you. It wasn't in your account to begin with. If somebody, gets a promotion and you don't, it didn't take anything away from you. It gives you an opportunity to look somewhere else that's better fit for you, right? It's all of these little twists of all of that. So play with that, the idea of let's start the conversation out with something that feels good about the day. And it can simply just be my sandwich tasted really good today. Some days you're going to have a day like that. Now, I know you had more than that. I know you had more than that, but that takes time and practice to get into your own alchemy of seeing all of the amazing things that happen. Or it was slow today at work, and you know what? That felt really good. Like I got to get on social media more today. I got to call my girlfriend today. It's a training ground. This is what this book is about. It's a training ground for those who are ready to accelerate and get into more magic for themselves. And speaking of magic, woohoo, we're talking about the journeys right now, and I do believe in the angels and my intuition and all things that are here to support me. And it was interesting because I pulled an oracle card tonight before did you need me, Connie? You're waving. Oh, okay. I pulled a card tonight, and it is so spot on and so beautiful. I wanted to share it with everybody here tonight. So the card that fell out literally is from this mother. Oh no, I just left the page. Is from a deck called Mother Mary. Doesn't matter if you feel connected to Mother Mary or not. She doesn't judge. This is the card that that we all received, and look at what it says: Our Lady of Manifesting Miracles. And I laughed out loud because how perfect is that with the whole conversation that we're having tonight, right? Okay, so here's what I want you to hear real quick. We may think that miracles that they are special or out of the ordinary experiences. Yet Mother Mary teaches us that the miraculous is meant to happen every day. It already does. If only we had the eye of the heart opened enough to see it, we would be sent into the states of rapture at how marvelous divine creation is and how extraordinary it is the creativity that unfolds in every moment of our lives. And the reason that I love that is because it really brings us back down to our roots with understanding. It's kind of miraculous that, where we live, and it's kind of miraculous how our body functions even when we dump things in it that aren't the best. And it's kind of miraculous how that sun rises every morning, and some mornings that sunrise is so beautiful it takes your breath away, and everyone's taking pictures of it and putting it up onto Facebook or social media. And the same thing with the sunsets, or seeing an animal that you absolutely love and desire to see, and getting the messages from all of that for yourself. Those are all miracles. A miracle isn't just those big grand moments. Those miracles are every day when you choose to see something that touches your soul. That's a miracle. And they happen more than what we give credit to. So that message is for everyone here who's live, anyone who listens to the recording of this, to understand that you are a part of a miraculous place, and you have an opportunity right now to grow and develop into your own hero. And what does that mean? It means you go through a journey. And if you study any of the tarot decks, if you study any of the books from like Joseph Campbell, and there's a few female writers that I've caught too. I haven't bought their books yet, but if you see any of those, they tell you about the journey that you go on, right? And the first journey that you start off with on anything is being childlike, that childlike wonder. When was the last time you felt childlike? Especially during quarantine. It's probably been a while. But that's what this card shows us. This is like someone who is just trusting. I mean, that chick is leaning out. She's got an amethyst, which I flippin' love. I'm going to try to get this. She's leaning out into the abyss and she has no clue where she's going. That's the energy. This is that blissful energy that I'm talking about, that you've got no attachments to it and you're allowing yourself to dance within it. By the way, Achilles will put up another link for that. I will be using different oracle cards and messages through these classes. And if you're interested in any of them, I've got someone who's giving all of us a really good deal, 10% off with free shipping over $35 on her Etsy shop, Cindy. Some of you may know her. She's amazing. But the code is Michelle, my name. And so if you're interested in getting some decks and learning a little bit more about that for yourself, this is a good opportunity for you to do that. I don't make anything off of this. This is just another gift. Like, here, go try this. If this suits you, if this is what brings some alchemy to you. I feel like the cards bring alchemy into my life every single day. That's why I utilize them. Some people use prayer as their alchemy. Some people use exercise as their alchemy, to get back into alignment. And that's what I mean by that. So what tools, and do you have those set up so that you're utilizing them more than once a week? If you're not utilizing something that brings you into balance, then that's another thing that you can go ahead and take a look at for yourself. That will be really important for you as you go along on your journey to understand, grab a hold of what it is you truly want. And if you want more peace, if you want more finances, if you want more health, if you want to slow down and have peace, it's all there for you, my friends. It's all there for you. So, questions, comments, concerns. I'm going to take a drink, give it a minute. I've been told that I don't wait long enough. Really so simple. Someone types in, it's really that simple. We need to slow down. Yeah, we do. We had that last year, I think, for some, not for everybody. People who had to work all the time, they didn't experience that. However, the great news is to understand that in every moment of every day, you get to put on whatever type of glasses that you want to see the world in. And sometimes those perception glasses that feel really good are going to slip off your nose. And you're going to see it from a different viewpoint. But if you can remember the fog scenario, which is when you're speaking something of a lower frequency, it is going to create a fog around you. And your intuition and your alignment become harder to grasp. It's harder to hear or understand what the next step is. The chattering of the mind slows that down. It creates. And when I say creating the fog, I mean the thoughts you think in your head and what you speak aloud. But like CJ said, if you stop and take some really long, deep breaths, and you remember, I remember that part, the integration, and she reminds me to think, I'm just looking at it the direction that I think I can't control. Well, what can I control in this moment? Can you imagine if you started speaking like that, like moment to moment to moment, how quickly your life will look differently? And it will. It will shift so quickly. Sometimes I'm shocked at what my world looked like even like 2 months ago. I'm literally shocked because I've played so much in this alchemy world and this magic. And, my dad crossed over during this whole COVID thing. So I understand grief. Like, there isn't anything I don't understand. We've all had our experiences. But I've also chosen to take a look at what I'm feeling, pausing, and deciding, is this in my best interest? Is this thought, is this feeling, because it's the feeling, not the thought, by the way, is this feeling going to get me where I want to go? And the minute I let go, I could hear my dad. I could feel him. I could see him. And he's brought me so many gifts. I actually feel closer to him now than I did in his last like 5 years of life, because he had dementia. So it was not a comfortable thing for anyone. So, and again, grief is different, but what I am saying is that making that conscious choice of how you want to feel, that's big. It's the biggest trip you can do for yourself. And I want to hear those magical moments from people. I want to hear what you're doing and what you're experiencing. And I always have this really awesome policy, like, email me, send me a message on Facebook. Let me know what you're experiencing, because you're only a part of the solution then, which is flipping awesome. You're only a part of the solution then. Okay. Anything else, guys? Anything over on Facebook, Mr. Achilles, I need to know about? And thank you, Achilles. He's done a fabulous job tonight. So while he's answering me, I just want to remind you, free gift, send in your email here on the group chat or over in Facebook Live if you're there. You can send it just directly to Achilles, so not everybody gets it, and that's okay. So I'm going to tell you what it is. So the gift that everyone will be receiving tonight is actually a coloring book. So for each one of the portals that I showed you earlier, there, and it's in the book too, and this is my coloring. Yes, please don't laugh, but this is my coloring. I'm not the greatest color, but I don't care. I had fun. So the idea behind this is just like everything that I create outside of the book, which is another tangible way to remind, to help you anchor in feeling better. And with each one of them, as it is in the book, it gives you the new mantra that you can be working on. So you can print these out for yourself. You can make a stack of them. And in those moments where you're kind of like, this is a great one when you're in neutrality, when you're in that boredom kind of phase, because in the book, it kind of tells you what colors mean. So let's say you're looking to be a little bit more intuitive. The book will give you a few suggestions on what colors to use to color your portal. And remember, and this is the exciting part, is I know now with any one of you guys who is coloring this and you are feeling a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter, and then you look at the color, because how can you not smile at color? I mean, sometimes you can go, those colors don't look that great, but it isn't a negative thing. It is a more of a positive, loving thing that you're anchoring in, and you're opening up this portal for more and more people to hop into it, right? More and more people. So that will come. If anybody wants it, just send us your email. Oh, okay. He's gotten the emails for both platforms. Okay, very good. That's exciting to hear. Yay! And the other thing I don't know that a lot of people realize is that when you get the book, in the back of the book, I have all the information how to get a hold of me, but there is a link in there that gives you all the charts that you can download, because in the book they're in black and white, and it gives you the link to free guided meditations. So if you're somebody who's like, oh, Michelle, I couldn't remember that fog thing, I couldn't remember the thing that was in the book, guess what? You can download specific meditations for what you're experiencing. So let's say you're really feeling funky and you're feeling down, like, oh, I just got some terrible news and I'm just not feeling that great, and I just want to close my eyes and listen. There's one for that. So in each category, there is a meditation, a guided meditation. They're only 10 minutes, they're not long. And most of the times they're going to help you to shift up the scale. And again, when you're shifting up the scale, doesn't mean that you have to go all the way from depression to bliss. It just means you're going up the scale, because sometimes just going to neutral or feeling kind of not bored, but at peace is a great place to go instead of going to bliss, because you kind of got to balance your way through that. But remember, you are the journey, people. You didn't come here not to learn and to experience life. And so don't fear your emotions, embrace them. Find out the direction they're going in, especially for you empaths. And some other classes that we'll be doing, we'll be talking more about being an empath. We won't just be talking about groups of categories. We're going to dive into other things, so we can talk about being an empath and what that means and how it is that you deal with that and what the messages are. We're going to be talking more about intuition. There's a ton of different topics, and whatever people are telling me that they want or need, I am here for that. Does that make sense? Yay. Okay, good. Well, I am so excited. Thank you all for coming. Let me know what you think if you haven't gotten the book and it's on its way. If you have questions or comments, or even if you want to, shoot over a testimonial on it, that's awesome too. Whatever your heart is telling you to do. But always remember, you are your own emotional alchemist. Choose feeling better than anything else. It's critical. It's important in these times. And I hold a lot of love and light for all of you that come on to something like this, because you're doing the work. I know you are. And I know you're only here to grow and expand yourself. And if you're really stuck in something, that's the time to reach out to myself or to someone else that can help support you through any big transitions, because I think we're all going through them right now. But it's really important as we are transitioning, things are breaking down that need to be broken down. And we have an opportunity to really shift how the world is going to function. But the first thing is we have to learn how to get it under control in our own self before we can worry about the outside world. We got to get the emotions in alignment, kind of like with Jesus, Buddha, the Magdalens, all the goddesses you study. And this is number one thing they talk about, right? Is that in order for you to deal with what's going on in the outside world, you got to make sure you're in alignment in your inside world. That's all this book is about. It's getting you back into alignment. So with that, I send you guys a ton of love. And hopefully put it in your books. February 2nd, March 2nd will be the next 2 classes that are coming up. And be on the lookout for, if you want to become a practitioner of sorts, that program will be coming up probably this summer to become a practitioner of emotional alchemy. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Sending you guys a ton of love and a lot of blessings. Have a miraculous, miraculous month. I can't wait to hear great, grand stories from you all. And when you need help pivoting, join the group and we'll help support you through it. Blessings.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. It was great.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks, CJ, for your help.
Bye.
Yay.
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, you're so welcome, guys. Have a good one, Fran and Chris.
Thank you, you too.
Bye, Cheryl. Bye, Ellen.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, you guys. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Live stream, and we'll end this.